Welcome to episode 6 of the You Weren't There podcast. I am your host at Mia Was Here, 5 underscores. Melly, introduce yourself.
You can follow me at Yo Melly Baby on Instagram and on Facebook, Mel B Jr.
Perfect. And of course, today we have a very special guest, somebody who I believe in, doing work in our community, really came up under, the mantra of the city. Jay, introduce yourself.
How y'all doing? Good morning, everybody. Good morning, world. My name is Jason Borsico, aka J Flow 301 MD. I'm just excited to be here. Thank y'all.
We appreciate you coming through, man. Borsico?
Yeah, Borsico, half
I was
Haitian.
wondering how the hell you say that. I was like, what is
Borsico, that shit like
this
your
French shit he got going on? I didn't know how to say that shit. I was gonna ask. I'm glad he said something.
Yeah, half Haitian on my father's side.
I respect that. We gotta love our Caribbean people.
Hey,
We gotta love our African people. Like that's what we.
Before we get into our topics, can we get into our I just want to send a special shout out my prayers and condolences to my homegirl Chantal. She just recently lost her son 2 weeks ago. Funeral today, and I just want to say rest in peace, and we send all our blessings to you. Rest in peace to Juan.
For sure. We also want to send our condolences and blessings to the young man who was killed at Wise High School. He was actually the son of a friend of my older sister. So Yvonne, we thinking about you. You're in our prayers, and truly we hope that the healing comes sooner than later.
Always.
And honestly, that's a big part of the reason we need to have conversations like this about community, about activism, about advocacy, because I feel like these kids, like, they don't understand the value of their own people, which is why who brings guns to a candlelight vigil? That's crazy to me, man. Y'all got to do better. Y'all got to think through these situations. There are better ways to react than with hammers. You don't have to do that, man. We got to love ourselves more. We got to love our community more. And that's a big part of the reason why we're doing this particular show today. We want to make sure that we are expressing people that are showing love for the community, people that are showing love for their people and really trying to do something to help these kids. That being said, Jay, give us your story. I know you started off in music. That's how I met you. That's how I know you. So from that journey to like kind of where you are now with advocacy, how did you get there? What was your start? Fill us in.
Yeah, so for those people that wanted to know, like, I started doing music in 2015. So like it took, full circle from 2015 all the way to like 2019. COVID really made me sit down and be like, all right, God, what's really next? Like, what do I have to do? July 5th, 2020, I did a motivational video just speaking on how I felt about community issues, things like that. November 6th, 2020, I started my podcast, Grind Hard, Dream Big, the harder you grind, the bigger you dream. And the reason why I started the podcast is because when you watch the news, I ain't seen no stories of people like myself in the news. And then it was more negative than it was positive. Right. And I'm like, there's a lot of positive things going on out here, and we have to highlight those things, but obviously negativity is selling higher. So then from that notion, I'm like, all right, doing podcast episodes. And then I met a community mentor, Miss Kimberly Marshall, Dare to Be Different. She has her own mentoring program. We talked, and she was like, hey, well, you're trying to do community work. Let's just collaborate and do some events. So we fed the homeless down to D Shelter. We were able to take kids to Dave & Buster's. And we also did back to school drives as well at Glen Arden Library. So we were able to do this repetitively, and now there became annual events. And we realized that there was a need not only in the community, but also to help middle school and high school youth.
Facts. So when you talk about like there was a need in the community, like where did you identify that need? Like what were you seeing that made you feel like, no, I've got to do something about this?
I was saying, youngins, like, especially like the guys, they just will walk out the house, pants sagging, talking to adults in a disrespectful way, cussing up a storm, things like that. And then, the young girls just following after them and not knowing how to carry themselves. So I was looking at it from a standpoint of like, do they value themselves and what's really going on from the music to TikTok, social media, whatever it is. It was just a disconnect. And even when they were doing wrong things, adults weren't correcting them. So I looked at it from a standpoint as like, nah, hey, young and y'all, don't do that. And then the next time you see a, lady, open the door. You know what I'm saying? Something as simple as that, being a neighbor to your neighbor. And I wasn't seeing that, being a neighbor to your neighbor when I was coming up was like more than just checking your mail. It was like, hey, how you were doing, having a conversation with them. But people ain't doing that no more. And I felt like
Niggas don't want to talk to you.
Nah, that's true. Like niggas are on such crash out missions these days. Like
It's
it's
the no young niggas is
young
going
niggas on
young.
crash
Let
out
me say
missions
that
these
young
days.
niggas crash
Yeah,
out
we gotta
missions.
kind of throw that in there. But like for sure, that's the case. It's a lot of like crash out missions with these young guys. For me, I feel like so much of it is about what's not going on in the homes, right? We
Mm.
like in our community in this area specifically, and I feel like this doesn't get talked about enough. We really do come from the drug era, right? If you grew up in the 90s the way that I did, you was born in the 90s the way that I was, you see like the results of an entire population of people whose fathers went to jail or were addicted to drugs, mothers addicted to drugs, aunties addicted to drugs. So then I feel like when you have like the people of our generation, they a lot of them were raised without parents or grandparents, aunties taking care of them in the home. So when you come up in that type of environment, it makes you less caring. It makes you a little colder. It makes you more susceptible to things going on in the street because you feel like that's where you're getting the love from. So I really do like believe in community advocacy and what Jay is doing and in programs like Grind Hard Dream Big because that to me is really the precipice of what's happening in our community as far as like why our kids are so wild
Yeah.
because they not getting that love from home and they seeking that out somewhere else. They need to feel validated, right? So if you're not feeling validated in your house, you go out and you seek that in the street. And sometimes doing wild stuff is the way that you come upon that type of love, which I think is wild, but I think that's the nature of like kind of how it is here specifically. And I know it's like that in a lot of places because a ghetto is a ghetto all across this country. It's designed that way, right? Like if you go across like this particular country, if you go a ghetto in Memphis, it looked the same as a ghetto in Georgia, which looked the same as a ghetto in Mississippi, which looks very similar to a ghetto here. So like I feel like that's the design, right? The planogram culturally is for the hood to be the same everywhere it is. So you experience the same hell and hardship no matter where you go. And that's something we got to do something about. And we got to start with us because we know the government not going to do it for
That's
us.
why they called it the projects.
For sure.
It was a project.
A continual one that never ever gets resolved or fixed up, which is the issue. So programs that are like really trying to build our kids up, I feel like are important.
Shout out to Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
His community center that's on Silver Hill Road.
For sure. Like, and you know what too? Like, and I feel like this doesn't get talked about enough, but like when we look at John Wall, because this is a sports podcast, right? So everything comes back
Shout out
to
to
sports.
John Wall.
When we look at John Wall, like what he did is doing. John Wall was here this weekend, actually. He was here, I want to say Friday, doing community work. He doesn't play for the Wizards anymore and is still out here trying to participate in building up our communities. During COVID, he was paying people rent, doing back to school giveaways, backpacks full of supplies. Like we need to advocate things like that, like guys who are in our community doing things for our community and actively trying to like produce something better for the next generation of our kids outside of just putting a ball in their hands.
You know what? Like, not to cut you off, but you know what? Back in the day, it was more fathers.
That's true.
Now it's no fathers now.
Why is that, you think? Like from a male
It's
perspective,
baby,
as a woman, I
baby
have
mamas.
opinion.
It's like it sucks to be a dad now. I don't know how to say it. It sucks to be a dad because every father I know personally hate their baby mom.
What?
Every person I know on child support.
Wow.
All the females, they reaping the benefits and the rewards. Like, it sucks. Like women wasn't thinking about child support back in the day.
That's true.
It was you real life had to be a piece of shit. But now, soon as we ain't fucking with each other, child support.
You know what though?
And you get it.
I would say this. I was reading something yesterday and it goes like right into that. So I think that's like a perfect segue. I think what we forget about women specifically is the very minimal amount of rights that we had for so long, right? In the 60s, you might not be able to work if you were like just period, right? It wasn't like equal rights as far as work. In the 80s, you couldn't get a bank account or purchase a home without the permission of a father or a husband. If you were unmarried, you were seen as damaged goods past a certain age. You might not be able to get a loan from a bank or a job at a certain place. So I feel like we've forgotten the history of like women's dependence on the men in the homes. And I do think that like by design, the more independent we've become, maybe the less reliant on men we've become, and that's where some of that disrespect comes in, right? I don't need no man. I don't need you. I got my own.
Every woman need a man, and every man need a woman.
I agree
Just
with
say that. Stop
I
that.
agree with that.
Stop
I hate to say it, ladies.
Stop
but
that.
Even as a feminist,
Nah, I agree.
You want to sleep by yourself every night?
and it's not even about that. I just think like community wise, we need each other. I think that there's a
Sure.
balance that comes from men and women being connected and understanding that in order for us to build our children, to build that next generation, we got to be strong, amongst each other. But I do agree with you. Like
It's the way of life. What if Adam said fuck Eve?
That's true. A lot of my friends,
That's
like,
how it
they
is.
they got baby mama issues too. So I feel that. I like that's something
Oh,
that
my
like
friends
we
have
deal
baby
with
mama
really
issues.
heavily in our community. But I don't want us to make it seem like it's because like women have become so independent that we like feel
No.
like we don't need men anymore. I think like we lacked independence for so long. Like it's like with anything, right? When you get something that you've never had before, you tend to overindulge,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I think that that's really like something that's been happening
Men
really
fuck up
heavily
too
in our
though.
community. Yeah, for sure.
A lot of y'all niggas. Take care of your kids.
Y'all,
Then you
huh?
wouldn't be put on child support, nigga.
Yo. Mm-hmm. And also, like, I do
Don't want to
think
see their
that there's
kids.
something to be said for the choices that you make in your partner, right? Like the choices that you make in who you choose to have a child with. That's on men too.
Niggas don't choose. We just
What?
flash.
What is that? What does
we
that
don't we
mean?
don't choose. Bruh, do
You
you
don't
see
choose
these
your baby
niggas baby
mama.
mothers? They ugly. Bruh, ain't no way you went out and booked her.
And
Something you was on something that night. You busting
everybody
that
actually
down.
needs
I would have
somebody
never.
with a more ignorant perspective. So.
Wear condoms. Wear condoms.
Yes, that's the issue.
Go to
Like
CVS.
you gotta
72 hours.
choose a better partner beforehand. The way a person treats the people around them, their relationship with their family, their relationship with their community. Are they active in their community? Are they doing something for somebody else besides themselves? I feel like that's a point that a lot of people miss in partnership. But that's the importance of like kind of putting these kinds of programs in our community so that you teaching our children better earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like, especially when I look at a lot of the young girls, a lot of my younger cousins, a lot of young ladies I know that's still in college, like one of the big lessons that I impart specifically is to know yourself before you try to get all involved in a relationship. Because if not, the things that you lack in, that you miss within yourself, you tend to seek those out in partnership. And so if you incomplete, if you not whole within you, and you run across a partner who is looking to exploit that, you do tend to have more issues. You walk around and end up with a baby, and now you're in a situation where you didn't want this kid, or you don't have the resources for this kid, and you're not able to like kind of produce a person who knows themselves, who loves themselves, and is able to like give back and be a better part and a more wholesome part of the community. All of that starts with us, though. All that starts in the home.
That's a fact. And that's what I'm saying. A lot of the kids that I be working with, like they're in the, from like Suitland all the way over. So they be seeing like a lot of things. A lot of the kids I work with are middle kid, middle child. So you know what I'm saying? They got the younger sibling or they got the older sibling. So they like, okay, well, I don't get the attention at home. So because I don't get the attention at home, I'm gonna go ahead and wild out. I'm gonna go to the gram. I'm gonna go to TikTok. I'm gonna go outside. I see my friends doing this. Okay, cool. Like even with a lot of the influence that they see, a lot of the youngins, they listening to, like Raw Wave and all the other music. I don't knock the music. I tell people that all the time. We listen to music that, we was probably not supposed to be listening to or whatever like that. But
For
there's
sure.
a
And
balance.
especially because if you
feel me?
grew up with your older brothers and sisters,
Right.
If you listen to Raw Wave, you depressed.
I remember
You
like
got your heart.
my brother and my sister are like older than me, so I grew up listening to like NWA and Spice One.
Yeah, you like fuck that shit.
Yeah, like
You was
that. When you talk about like,
you rebellious.
I think NBA YoungBoy is ruining like a lot.
I don't
of
listen
shit for
to
these
that.
kids.
Shout out to NBA
I'm not
Youngboy, but
shout
I
out
don't
to
listen
NBA
to him.
YoungBoy, but
Yeah.
I do feel like that music has a negative.
Couple
impact.
songs
I feel like
did.
there's a lot of music that has a negative.
Nah, he fucked the world up.
Yeah, you got young boy.
Niggas think he can beat Floyd Mayweather in a fight. I'm done with NBA Youngboy fans.
Yeah, you got Young Boy,
Bro,
you
don't
got
talk to
K
me no
Flock,
more.
you got
Yeah.
all these other rappers that are out here, and I think that what happens is like the influence and like even with the shiesties going on. I was asking the kid the other day, like, what's the point of wearing the all black? He like, to be honest with you, sometimes it's like, yeah, it's a fashion statement, but then another kid was sitting there saying like, I don't even want to be seen. I'm like, okay, so somebody got to break that down for me because I don't know where it really came from. But at the same time, these kids, the way that they dress, the way that they talk, it's a cry for help. It literally is a cry for help.
Listen,
Like, literally.
let me tell you, y'all niggas take them ski masks off, Mo.
Nah,
Y'all
for real.
throwing me off.
I ain't gonna lie, I went to the store last night and it was like 4 young guys that got out of a car. All of them had on backpacks and shiesties. And the first thing I did was like lock my doors. I'm like, nah, I'm gonna wait till
Bro, it's 90 degrees. Them niggas wearing skis
you
and not even on nothing.
ski masks.
You just want to wear it. I don't want nobody to see my face.
Like,
You ain't no criminal, nigga. Take that shit off. Let me see your face. You're not presentable. That shit is unprofessional.
For sure.
Y'all look weak as shit. Keep wearing a ski mask all day.
but it's not a lot of
The
fathers
fuck?
in our community.
Man, we wasn't even wearing ski masks. And stop
Like,
calling that shit a shicey. We been wearing ski masks before Pooh Shicey, but free Pooh Shicey. Free Pooh Shicey. That's my man.
But you need somebody to tell you something like that.
Yeah, the
Hey,
right
the
from wrong.
fuck?
That's what I'm saying. The
you
right from
need
wrong.
a
You
man-
understand?
Nigga got
think
mask,
having
no
male
gun.
influence is so important. And I know, like, I see all the time things on like things on the gram and things on TikTok where like they have like, you know, specials for fathers to come out and they ask for community volunteers because they know a lot of the kids in that particular school and in that particular area may not have a father figure or uncle or big brother in the house to kind of guide them. I think like more programs like that would be good to kind of help some of these young guys not just adjust the way that they carry themselves, but also to really and truly figure out who they are.
But
Because I feel like so much of the crime and the stuff that's going on out here is kids not knowing who they are, what their capabilities are, and what their future could look like if they made, you know, better choices.
like kids not signing up for shit like that.
You got to go out and get them. That's
Like,
part of the problem too. Like us
that's what I'm
thinking that
saying. Yeah, they not
kids supposed
gonna
to
go.
seek that out when we need to be checking for them. Like we got to go out and seek them kids out because they not going to do that. Kids are naturally irresponsible.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of childhood, right? You get to be irresponsible for a portion of your life, and then you got to be responsible after
For
that.
sure.
That's a part of it. Like we got to seek them kids out because you know that if you dealing with like teenagers, high school kids, they may not seek out them type of programs, or they might feel like, man, I don't need that. I don't need no help. I'm good like I am.
And
But I
that's
mean,
all of them though.
yeah, like I mean, it's nothing wrong with you exactly as you are, but you gotta hone that too. Like you gotta like hone in on who you desire to be, what you desire to be, what you want your future to look like. And I feel like if you're not giving that to kids early enough, they tend to go out here and make like wild ass choices.
Yeah, I agree. And like I said, for myself, like I said, with my brand, like I realized like the more I really walked into it and just asked God, like direct my steps and whatever I was doing, I realized like I was just doing it in an organic way. So like these community events, when I seen kids, I'm like, what is it that y'all want to see? So then once they were sitting there saying like, oh yeah, opportunities around, you know, photography or rap or just wanting to learn about like social emotional wellness or like Dave and Buster's trips, things like that. That's when I started talking to my community partners, like, all right, let's start building programs or ideas around what they're telling us and then making it effective. And that's why we're able to launch this, you know, teen leadership program, you know, and I'm super excited about it because it's like, this is something that the kids have actually spoken about and wanting to do. So it's not like oh yeah, I know that they need X, Y, and Z. So I'm gonna teach X, Y, and Z. Like, no, kids have expressed this, parents have expressed this. Where can we go? Let's create an opportunity and a place for them to learn this stuff.
Now I think that's deep because I think like as when we grown, you do think you know best, right? You do think like you know what's best for these kids. You was a kid once, so you feel like, nah, I know what
I
they
know it
need.
all.
Facts.
Nah, but the truth is like we do need to be listening to these kids. I think that's like a super important factor. As far as like building the programs, what obstacles do you feel like you've been coming across with that, like if any?
I feel like just the, you know, the lack of support sometimes or the need. Like sometimes people feel like, oh yeah, you know, you're doing your thing with the kids. I see you, you know, you keep grinding. And I'm like, you can literally be a neighbor to your neighbor by just showing up. Ain't nobody saying like you got to speak or anything like that. And then sometimes just understanding the need or, oh, it's not happening in my city, so I won't pull up. But I'm like, if we're in Prince George's County, it don't matter what city it's at. It could be, you know, Glenard and Siouxland, Clinton. It don't matter where we're at. It's just like, yo, at the end of the day, it's a need. Because at the end of the day, if you getting it over here, then you could take it to your community and be like, all right, well, I seen this over here. These group of kids can learn this too. And like I said, the majority of kids that are, you know, that we're involved with are DC and PG for the most part. And they come from different schools, different backgrounds and everything. And then every event that we have, they always get to, you know, they get along with each other. They follow each other. They hold each other accountable. And, you know, they have a great time. And they really tell us like the issues and what's going on. So really these Dave and Buster's events or back to school events, them getting community service, it really serves as like a decompression for them. Cause like Dave and Buster's, we do it at the end of the school year. And we could tell like at the end of the school year, they're geeked, they're excited to have fun. But it's like, yo, I've been stressed out. Grades, teacher, parents, you know, I just be
Now,
feeling
we
like
forget
everybody
that.
doing too much.
We
So
forget
it's like,
that,
all right,
like,
go ahead, have
kids
fun.
have stresses
Know what I
of
mean?
their own, you know what I mean? Because I think like when you get grown, you feel like, you know, you got real bills, you got real
That's real
responsibilities,
stress.
and you feel like that's the problem right there.
real
You feel like
stress.
that's real stress, and it is. Don't get me wrong. Like the responsibilities of being an adult, a parent, all of those things, those are high stress environments. But at the same time, like you remember what middle school was like for you. You remember what high school was like for you. It was a lot of stuff going on in high school.
Different stress.
I lost a lot of friends between middle school and high school. It's guys that never made it past 14 that I grew up with.
Nah,
So
for
like
sure.
there are high stress situations that these kids deal with. And I feel like as an adult, sometimes like we have a tendency to behave as though like these kids not going through stuff too. They might not got no bills, they might not got no kids yet, they might not got
Now they going through
those type of
death. They
responsibilities.
going through
Yeah,
death.
but they have so much else going on. They losing friends left and right.
Man.
Them 3 guys that got killed from Wise, those guys is all under 25.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they just got out of high school not that long ago. Like
Right.
like 5-6 years removed from high school is not that long when you really think about it. So if you think about it like that, like within 5 to 6 years of you graduating high school, you might not even be here anymore. That's in the back of kids' minds too, right? And when you look at the crime going on in our city in particular, right? A Commanders player got shot and robbed on 8th Street last year. That happened in the middle of the season.
You talking about Robinson?
Yeah.
Running back?
Yeah.
Was that last year or the year before?
Right, year and a half ago, probably.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so last
Running
year.
back for the Skins.
Yeah, so like that's the
Shout out
crazy
this
type of
full
stuff
recovery.
that I think like is going on in these areas. And that kid was like 15 or 16 years old that robbed and shot him. So there are real stresses going on with these kids. Not to mention in
Stop
our
going on U Street.
communities, there's a lot of poverty, right? It's a lot of kids that's growing up with no money, no resources in their house. They mother working 2-3 jobs and still barely breaking even. We all in the midst of inflation. We all in the midst of a recession, borderline depression. It ain't no money out here. So if you a kid and you want certain things, because kids are mean. Kids could be cruel. You ain't dressing a certain way. You don't got the right shoes.
Today's kids.
Today's kids. Nah. Kids
Bro, the
like
era,
that when I was in
bro,
school.
you gotta talk about the era we live in now is different.
Nah, it was all.
We
that's
really was
why
outside.
kids-
We was outside really playing around.
That's what I'm saying.
They outside.
When I was
they not
young,
playing.
You not having the right clothes was a big fucking deal. Like that altered your entire universe.
Oh,
If
yeah,
you ain't had the right
yeah.
clothes, the right shoes,
Oh, yeah, you
if
getting
wasn't
fracked.
dressed in a certain way. If you couldn't get fresh, that was a problem. So imagine being a child who comes from an environment with no money or resources to doing that, and kids making fun of them every day at school. Who they talk to about that? How they decompress from that?
Yeah.
Nobody.
And how do they deal with it in a way that's productive and not in a way where they go out and rob somebody or hurt somebody to try to get the things that everybody else says that they should have?
Grand Theft Auto on video game.
And that's why I feel like for me, it's so vital in like the work that I do, because I realized that I became a safe haven for a lot of them. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, the parents, they sit there and talk to them and stuff like that. But then it's like they're telling me things that, you know, their parents probably don't, you know, they feel comfortable with talking to me like,
Sure.
all right, bet, you know, I'm going through this. You know what I'm saying? Oh, you know, I ain't got the shoes, so I don't even feel like going. Or my friend said this, or bullying. You know, even the notion of just not feeling accepted, you know, and I'm like, okay, so let's talk about it. So I remember like at times I just, you know, talk to them and be like, all right, so what y'all want to do? You know what I'm saying? What is it? You know, at the end of the day, they kind of look at me as that positive male figure that they never seen. And some parents look at that too. They're like, yeah, you know, you having this ball of energy, always, you know, finding something good to say in every situation. It's like, you know, we're going to get through it. You know, some of these kids don't even understand what affirmations are. So I had to teach them that too. Like, speak highly of yourself. Tell yourself that you dope. Tell yourself that
Manifest.
tell yourself that
Show.
you're amazing. Because, you know, sometimes they walk into these environments and feel like, okay, I'm in the hood, so I am hood. You know what I'm saying? But they may not be on that type of time, you know, or feel like I got to do this to conform. And there's a lot of kids that, you know, they're not, I wouldn't say majority of them, we could be quick to label them and be like, yeah, they're bad. But I think a lot of them are misunderstood. And it's because it's like nobody's really had a conversation with them to understand what it is. And like these opportunities, like you were saying earlier, like if somebody were to, you know, try to commit a crime, they weren't presented an opportunity like, oh, we don't even know their career path or their goals.
Yeah.
And it's so hard for them to dream and imagine because they stuck in survival.
For sure.
I'm just trying to get my day to day. I go to school, all right, bet. Now I'm saying it's breakfast, my favorite class or whatever like that, recess, whatever. Boom, I'm gone.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's it. So it's their day to day survival and what they do.
Not for sure.
Good kids in bad situations.
Yeah, for sure. I think affirmations are so important. Like, and I think starting kids off early with stuff like that, like manifesting positivity in your life. And we don't do great at that on this show. I'm not gonna lie. We be talking shit. That's true.
I mean, I may talk
But-
shit, but we already
You know what I'm
old.
saying?
We old.
Yeah,
You still need that?
We owe. Yeah. I still use affirmation.
I mean, I wake up every day. Yeah, I'm like, you him.
No, yeah.
Yeah, that's
That's
a great
an
affirmation.
affirmation.
That's
Yeah,
an affirmation.
you
That's a
have-
great one.
Great affirmation.
You
Yeah,
him.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Telling
wake up
yourself,
every
yeah.
morning. I'm blessed. I'm qualified.
There you go.
I'm beautiful. I'm
Got all my
special.
teeth.
God got me. For
There you
sure.
go. There you go.
Got
I
all
got
my
you. That's
teeth,
it.
man.
Shout out to my dentist.
Look at me. Yeah, no. Embracing faith and hello. I ain't not to. But I'm saying, even stuff like that when I
Yeah.
was in school, they was calling me brace face. And
I had
all that
braces.
shit,
I
you know
had
what I'm
braces
saying?
when I was in
Now
school.
look at y'all niggas.
Now I'm bald. Man, look. Man, you ain't never seen a nigga like this.
We
Yeah, nah, affirmations is important.
Yeah.
saying a lot of things
Mhm.
like that. I don't know.
Nah, you ain't never seen a nigga
But I
with
do think
pause
affirmations
with
are
head like
important
this.
because you manifesting positivity into your own life.
Yeah.
That's really what the
That's how I build
affirmation is
myself
about.
up.
For sure. So like I think like that's something you should continue like throughout your life because that happens when you become an adult too, right? You get down on yourself. You can because now life is really kicking in. You
Life.
got real bills. You got responsibilities. You might got some kids, right? All of that stuff, like, and then the way the economy is going, like, yeah, it's tough. Like you need to build. You got to build yourself up because we living in a time where maybe, there might be no one else that's gonna do that for you. Right. So you gotta like I feel like that's the importance of giving those kids that is because like you might get to a space as an adult where you don't have a community advocate or somebody to come in and tell you that you beautiful, you special, you capable, and you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. You might not have that as an adult. You got to learn that at some point so that by the time you become an adult, you're able to do that for yourself because that's the difference between childhood and adulthood, right? When you're an adult, there ain't nobody to build you up necessarily.
No, for
And
sure.
you fortunate you have people around you like that, but not everybody has built that type of community in their
You have a
own
support
lives.
system.
You know what I mean? Like I feel like that's really the importance of Jay's work and what he's doing is like not just that he's like building community for kids, but teaching kids
Teaching,
how
about
to
it,
build
teaching.
community.
Yeah.
Because it's gonna be a day when he's not gonna be there to do that for them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you got to be able to teach kids how to build themselves up, how to grow themselves,
One of
how
them
to
kids
love
gonna
theyself.
teach the other kids.
Yeah, and that's the notion of
They
generational
gonna pass
wealth.
that
for me.
ladder down.
You gotta pass it down, exactly, and
For
that's
sure.
the thing. We gotta be able to understand that these life skills, like understanding how to read, understanding how to write, that's important. But like holding a conversation, publicly speaking, a lot of these kids got great ideas, future business owners, essential workers, and all that. But
Can't talk for shit.
they may not. Yeah, exactly. That's why we sitting there trying,
Hate
public
these
speaking
niggas
and all that
confused.
stuff and all these things that are essential, setting goals, public speaking, money management, job readiness, being able to have panel discussions and also serve your community and get community service hours because they're leaders. You know what I'm saying? But in order to be a leader, you have to follow somebody, but you want to follow the right person. And being that light, really, and being who God called me to be, stepping into it and accepting it, that's what he's been showing me this whole entire time. Like, yo, walk into it and realize that you're being who you needed when you were younger. That's basically what it is. You know what I'm saying? Because I knew I needed that. Like, I was a type of school, like, yeah, of course, had the Jordans, things like that, wanted to fit in, understand, wanted to be in the crowd, separated myself from the crowd. So I understand the notion of peer pressure and everything like that. But then at the same time, when you separate yourself and you find your purpose and you walk into it, people align with that. And I think it's so hard because everybody wants the followers, the likes, the views. We're in a microwave generation. I want it right now. You know what I'm saying? But like, what about the soul food? What about taking your time with things? So I tell myself like Rome wasn't built in a day. Just keep building each and every single day and just knowing your contribution and what you're doing.
Nah, for sure. When you like look at not just your community advocacy, but kind of like maybe the experiences that you've had in music, building a network there. Like I feel like so often like DC is like referred to as a crabs in a barrel kind of environment, right? Where people don't want to see you. When we talked about that last week, where it feels more difficult to succeed in DC because as soon as you get a little bit of notoriety, other people feel like they want to immediately start breaking you before you even get to that point because they haven't gotten to that point. You feel like you encounter any of that, like with the work that you're doing with the kids and in the community?
Yeah, sometimes I do because I feel like, we can all relate. It's still different issues. It may feel like, okay, gun violence is happening, in Maryland, it happened in DC. So I just think that when we all come together, even if it's like 15, 20 minutes away, we can still speak on the issue and, get it resolved. But I think that sometimes being a neighbor to your neighbor is kind of like misguided for some because it's like, I just want to govern, my block. That's it. I don't care about up the street. I don't care about down the street. I just care about what's happening here. But I think when people look at it like it's affecting here, it's affecting up the street, all of us got to come together. And that's why we did the youth summit as well. And we were able to reach kids from DC to Maryland as well. Like year one, when we did it, we had 116 kids. Year two, we had 225 kids. So we knew that it was a need and we didn't want to just restrict it just because it was at one location. Nah, you got a middle school or high school or wherever they go to school at, come on. And same thing with Baltimore. We do work in Baltimore too. So we don't want to just sit there and be like, yo, we just doing this work in PG. Nah, wherever the need is, whatever you need somebody to come through, speak, you need a workshop somewhere, we're here for the kids.
And that's what it has to be. That's what you doing in your community, man. You always talking shit. What you doing, nigga?
What I'm doing in my community?
Yeah, fill us in. There it is.
Man,
right
I don't
there.
really like to talk about too. Like, look what I say before. Pull your seat up. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I got street justice. You know, street justice is, you ride by and you feed the homeless or whatever. That's street justice. I ain't worried about that. I ain't trying to get no kudos for that. But I talked to the young men out there, man. They crashing out. They dumb as shit. Like they mentality. I'm just gonna say, I ain't gonna be politically correct on here. I'm gonna talk my shit. These young niggas, y'all is on some stupid ass crash out missions. Y'all got these big ass houses, and I said, why you trying to be a gangster? Look at this house you got. You got a big ass room. Your room bigger than my apartment.
Male is of the impression that if you have money, you must be happy. We've talked about
No, I'm just saying, bro. What are you doing, crash out missions? Just go ask your mother for some money. Go ask your father for some money.
That's what we saying. Some of that crash out behavior, it has nothing to do with money. Some of it is just a cry for help.
NBA young boys.
But
that's what they listen to.
Mentally, you damage emotionally.
The nigga gonna be 30 one day. He still gonna be called NBA young boy?
Probably.
So that's what y'all gonna follow?
Well, I don't like
these niggas is not. Hey, listen, Mo. I just say, but no, in the far
I'm
as
not
we talking about
audience at all.
If I was talking about the community, yeah, I try to put something together. We make sandwiches and we go feed the homeless and shit like that. Shout out to my Masonic brothers. We was in the community, helping people, feeding the homeless, giving out food to all my other Masonic and my sisters out there. If you know, you know. Man, just try and make it a better place. It's nothing you could do. It's so wild out here right now for the youngest. Like, they don't want to listen. They don't want to listen to nothing you got to say right now. Like, you an old nigga. Like, I'm 34. I'm an old nigga.
That's true.
That's scary, because I ain't gonna lie. Yeah, because I'm 34.
They don't want to hear what you got to say, but I'm like, bro, I was you.
Yeah.
You ain't never been 34. I've been 24.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Just listen to me, bro. Stop always having a reply for what I'm trying to tell you, bro. Just take what I'm trying to tell you, and it's going to improve your life. But
that's actually a good point that you raising. Not to cut you off, but I think that's a great point that you raising. Like, because that would be my next question for you, Jay. Like, because there's got to be some kids that you feel like, man, it's some of these youngins that's hard to reach.
Yeah, some of them are.
Type of situations, like, what's your resolution for that? Because I know it got to be hard with some of these kids.
Yeah, some of them is hard, but even with like public speaking, right? When I teach that workshop, I tell the kids all the time, like, I use an example of a soda can and a water bottle, right? So like the soda can is your younger self, basically. Like, imagine, people sitting there talking trash about you, saying things you don't like, right? You shake the soda can up, and then what happens when you want to open it? It explodes, right? So that's our thoughts, our emotions, everything. So you go from listening to reply because you're trying to go back and forth to finally listening to understand, which is the water bottle, because now that somebody has told you something, you're cool, calm, and collective in your response. You done graduated from that soda can to the bottle of water.
That's a perfect analogy, bro. That's a good analogy.
Yeah.
I like that.
That was
I like that. I like
Appreciate that.
That was a good one.
But that's what really helps in that regard, because a lot of those kids, and even myself, even as adults, we always want to feel like sometimes we have the last word, and my say so is my say so. But when we get perspective and understanding that from the experience and going through that, I'm realizing when you share your story and your vulnerability in those moments, you know what I'm saying? Then the kids will open up and they'll feel like, all right, you know what? My guard ain't up. I can just be like this now. I can feel cool, calm, and collective. So I feel like, I would encourage people to share their story, to really be vulnerable and let them know where you messed up at. Because sometimes they look at adults and it's like, this person can't teach me nothing. This person ain't say nothing. I can't relate to this person because they're not really telling me anything. They're just telling me their profession, what they've done or whatever like that. But that aha moment or whatever transition moment it was, you know what I'm saying? I still tell kids to this day, like, I love, like I said, reading and writing, but me and geometry, we was beefing like Kendrick Lamar and Drake.
Fact.
I hated it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but I still got through that because I had to realize that it wasn't my angle of life only. I had to see myself in the equation and figure out my own formula. And through the grace of God, I was able to do that.
This man need to write a book. That was crazy. You heard that?
Yeah, I heard. Now that the soda and water fucked me up. The soda and water. I was like, where you going with this?
Still got some bars.
What the fuck soda and water got to do with each other?
That analogy works on another level, right? Because like in a soda can, right, you don't necessarily know the contents that's in there, right? So people don't really know you. You get to a point where like there's clarity. You see yourself and people can see you for who you really are. Boom.
Oh, you try to drop on that. You try to drop mic on that. Drop the mic. Yeah. Because the water bottle is clear. You can see through you.
You hating.
Head ass.
For sure though.
Head ass.
But I believe in that though. Like I really like. I'm so proud of you, bro. Like
I
I'm so.
appreciate that.
What made you like leave music and go into advocacy though? Because y'all, I mean, I really felt like you was passionate about that.
Yeah, I was, and I mean, I still use it. You really to connect because I still do like creative writing workshops and things like that. So it's always gonna be a part. But I just felt like God was like, "Yo, we have fun with this. I got close this door. I got another door for you to open." And then I was like, "All right." It was hard because I'm like, "Really, really." But I realized at the end of the day, once that door opened, all the other stuff just started falling in line. And they were like, "Yo, can you teach kids about creative writing and journaling and stuff like that?" And I'm like, "I went to school for this. All right, bet. All right,
Nah,
God, we're on the same
facts.
page."
And I think
Bet.
like that's something that we need to teach our kids too. That's something we need to remind ourselves. Like you can turn your skills into other things. If you have oratory skills, right, which is really all music is, you can transition that into anything. You can transition into a podcast. You could write a book with that, right? We're all examples of that, right? There's a podcast. Chaz wrote a book, right? Chaz was a musician. Like there are ways to translate your skills, but you got to give kids the tools for them to know that. It's so many
Yeah.
kids like most of the kids want to be rappers now, right? That's what they want to do. They feel like that's going to be their ticket. But if in fact that doesn't occur, because it's like 55,000 new songs that come out every day now on
Yeah.
iTunes, is what I read. It's 55,000 songs every day, and the algorithms are not geared towards music or artists that have never been heard before. They're geared towards you listening to music you're already listening to, new versions of things you're already listening to. So you gotta like sometimes the thing is, and I'm not saying that you can't like love and fight for your dreams, but at some point, like if you can manifest that into something else that can help you, that could be of a benefit to yourself and your community, you might want to consider it.
These
It's
niggas
too many
can't rap.
rappers, man. We need some
No,
plumbers.
these niggas can't rap.
We need some plumbers.
We need some essential
No,
workers
stop.
out there.
Hey, let me
That-
Some
that-
electricians.
say this.
You know what I'm saying? Some
Stop
coaches.
this free car shit. Get back to rap, nigga.
Yeah.
You don't got no ops. Y'all niggas is 20. Just graduated school. Y'all got ops.
They might.
I be
Come on,
telling
home.
kids all
You
the
talking
time,
about
even
shit.
with that,
Come
you
on,
say
bro.
ops, right? And it's,
You
I
got
tell the
ops.
kids all the time, like, the only ops you have are opportunities, but they
Thank
can be
you.
presented to you. You feel what I'm saying? Like, they have to be
Oh.
presented to you. And I think that that's the thing. Like, when they say that all the time, they be like, okay. And I'm like, you don't have this. It's imaginary, right? Because they thinking that, but it's like, nah, nobody's against you. Like, you just got to find people that are with you.
Yeah, you
and
gotta
I'm with
find
you.
your community.
Yeah, and
You
that's
can
why I
fuck
hear
with
them
the
all the
wrong
time. I'm like, go
people.
ahead, tell me what's wrong.
For
All
sure.
right, cool.
You do gotta find your
I
community.
had a good ass life when I was 23. Y'all niggas talking about something. I got ops. I gotta watch about a nigga spinning. The fuck life y'all living? The fuck y'all grow the fuck up, y'all.
Some of it is I feel you. Some of it is like kids doing too much. They letting music and
Music is bad and shit out. NBA young boy fuck everybody up.
Okay.
Y'all not him, and he ain't even him. He ain't shot nobody. He ain't fought nobody.
You don't know that.
No, I know this.
You don't know that.
Who he fought?
I don't know.
It would have been a viral video. Instagram been out.
He
All
might be-
social media been out.
he might be
NBA young boy ain't never
that
fought
way.
nobody. But shout to NBA young boy. This ain't nothing against you. I'm just saying we ain't never see you on camera fighting nobody. So all that tough shit you talking and all this niggas that you influencing to do tough shit, you getting them spanked.
I do think that's dangerous. I do think like obviously Mill
Straight
is a
up.
little extra.
No, bro, I mean, Tab isn't like he the greatest rapper of all time. That's the greatest rapper of all time right there behind you, Tupac.
Yeah.
Real nigga at 25.
But I
Really,
think-
really shot the feds. Really had all the greatest hits.
He also died.
5 albums, 10 albums after he died.
Yeah, but you don't want to end up like that.
Nah,
And I
you
want
don't.
better for our children because I
You
think
don't.
like Tupac is a phenomenal example of wasted potential.
Yep.
Of somebody who like might have been president one day,
Right.
if he had gotten an opportunity to grow. And when you look at like Tupac,
Nipsey.
we were so young, like right, Nipsey too, right?
Nipsey, shout out to
like,
Nipsey, man.
I was,
Yeah.
you know,
Peace,
grown
man.
when that
Yeah,
Nipsey shit
Nipsey.
happened and it hurt me. I cried when Nipsey
Crushed
died.
me.
But like I
too.
remember like watching on the news at my grandma's house, like at like I don't remember what that was. I might have been like 3 or 4 or something like that. But I remember watching that on the news, like that Tupac had got shot, and he seemed like such an adult at that time. But when you look at that now, Biggie and Pac was 25 and 26 when they
Yeah,
died.
he was
and
25.
it's a lot of kids walking that same type of road, like out here making rash decisions. Because really, you could attribute Tupac's, and we ain't gonna get too far into this. I don't know how y'all be feeling about that. But really, you could attribute Tupac's death to rash decision making that night in Las Vegas.
Yeah, he got into a
some
fight.
gang shit he
Yeah.
had no business getting into,
Right.
and there was a level of retaliation. I think if you start teaching these kids like the value of self, the value of like not just valuing yourself, but your brother next to you, right? Working across, right? Niggas so busy trying to like I say this all
Hold
the
on.
time. I said it last week. Niggas are so busy trying to like maneuver and to network vertically instead of networking across with
Yeah,
people right next to you
that's
who
what I'm
can help
saying.
you, who have that skill set to build like right here, people you can touch.
Exactly.
Now,
That's what I'm
real
saying.
quick, let me find this because y'all had something on the wall, and it just meant a lot of sense to me. Real quick,
What you talking about?
y'all had these little posters on the wall. Y'all
Mhm.
had a jump on that jump.
Are you looking for a quote on Google right now?
No, no, no,
Are
no.
you pausing our
No,
show to go look
no, no, no,
Google
no.
for
I'm
a
about to
quote?
tell you what it said, and that's what it means. It transitions
Okay, let me
real good. But y'all keep talking. But here you go, right here. Let me see what it say. This jump say success. I'm gonna say attitude.
okay.
Attitude. A noun. Knows what you do, determine what you get. So for every action, it's a reaction.
That's true. Attitude definitely determine where you go. Cause like, and especially in a city like this where people are so sensitive and easily offended, right? Like we live in a city where like the wrong word could turn into a fight really quickly.
For sure.
So I think like really building these kids up, there's so much importance behind that because you need to teach kids like self-control. It's a lot of kids crashing out because they have so much damage going on in their life behind the scenes, stuff that nobody know about, stuff with their parents, their brothers and their sisters. It's stuff going on with these kids getting molested, it's robberies happening, it's
Ain't got
poverty
daddies.
happening, it's stuff going on in
These
kids
niggas need
lives
daddies.
that you got to teach kids how to like have self-control so that they don't get out here, get oversensitive in the wrong moment with the wrong person and end up getting themselves hurt. Like there's so much to be said for building up our community and the benefits of it. Like when you talk about the people that's living and working right next to you.
Yeah, and it's really like I said, being a neighbor to your neighbor. Really, like
For
if
sure.
we know that it's going on, we are the ones. Like I tell people all the time, I'm like, okay, we have to build a bridge for them to walk on. If we don't build the bridge for them to walk on, they're gonna crash out.
That's
If
for
they're
sure.
crashing out already,
For sure.
then who's gonna really pick them up? You know what I'm saying? The only time you look down on someone is when you helping them up. We keep looking down on each other as a community, being like, oh yeah, this is wrong, but we ain't even in the person's shoes.
For
And
sure.
that's why I'm saying, like, for myself, God has opened doors to the point where it's like, even with like politicians or, hey, Jay, what do you think? I'm like, yo, I'm not a mayor, but they're like, you moving like one or things like that. And I'm like, nah, I just know it's a solution. We talk about the same thing about gun violence, these kids not having the opportunities. We're providing the solutions, creating these safe spaces for them to be themselves so that way we can really hear them out. When we hear them out and we move off of what they need, I believe that community will move better and be better. Because like I said, they're looking for people to, connect with. They're looking for opportunities, jobs, interns, things like that. Like this hoodie I got on is global. This is a kid that made this. He just graduated from Potomac. You know what I'm saying? And he literally just had his first summer job. And I was able to refer him to do that. You know what I'm
Called
saying?
Global.
So it's
Shout
like
'em out,
this.
say his
Yeah,
name.
shout out
Shout
to
'em out.
Global, man. Shout out to Jew, man.
Shout out
Global,
Global.
man. Yeah, shout out Global. And it's
Need me
like,
one.
yeah.
And there's so many like people in our community that's really like not just like creating great product. Like I say this all the time, dreams of triumph. And Val is a good friend of mine. Like what he's doing, not just in like the pieces he's creating as far as like clothing, which I think are phenomenal, but also like what he's doing as far as advocacy in our community. Val is in the schools every month doing like community work with the kids, making sandwiches for the homeless, putting care packages together and handing them out. He throws pop-up shops where he's selling clothes. The proceeds go to putting money back into the community. Like Malik was doing that with, with Eat. Like there are people in our
Shout out to
community
Malik.
that are
Yo.
creatives, are amazing creatives, but also like doing work to try to build these kids up, which I think is so important. And I think there's a level of importance of it coming from like niggas you think are kind of cool. You know what I'm saying? Like kids are just more likely to listen to like people that they respect.
Yeah, whoever's hat.
Yeah, I don't want to say hat, but I think
if they
like,
could respect you and they know that
I
you have
think,
a
like,
conversation,
kids-
you get on their level per
Yeah.
se, then it's kind of cool. Because like I said, at the end of the day, I was talking to the kids about like, who's your favorite rapper? That's my favorite first question I normally ask them. Then from there, kind of like gauge the conversation.
what you
It's
usually
cool.
hear.
I always
Young
hear,
boy.
I always hear Young Boy, Rod Wave, Cardi B,
The sad shit.
Megan is
not
fast.
that.
Not
Megan,
Cardi is
Cardi's
music.
part.
Shout out to
Megan,
Cardi. But that's
Sexy Red, who else?
Shout out to Sexy
Cardi.
Red. I love
Yeah,
me some
basically
Sexy
that.
Red.
And then like even if it's like DMV local, then they'll say, KP or Young Threat. So I'm like, it's cool. I heard all of them before, things like that. And then we'll just get
Shout out to
into
Young
it.
Threat, the whole 37.
Yeah, they love some Young
Free the
Threat
gang.
for sure.
Yeah.
and they love KP for sure.
Shout out to Young Thread and
Yeah.
KP. We know y'all. We love y'all.
Yeah, so like
Keep building.
their music, and then of course Instagram and TikTok being their favorite apps and things like that. So I'm like, all right, do y'all know y'all spend so much time on this? The average teenager right now is spending 8 hours and 30 minutes on it every day. It's 168 hours in a week.
8 hours and 30 minutes a day. 8 hours a
One
day
third
is a
of your day.
full-time job. That's
So
a
like
full-time
really
job.
think about that. It's like,
I ain't look at it like that.
yeah, literally understand that you're scrolling and looking for all this entertainment or whatever you're looking for. 8 hours and 30 minutes a day. That's
It's a
from the
full-time job.
ages of 11
I'm at
to
work
25.
for that amount of time a day.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Phones came out, bro. The phones got better.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But I look at it like that's 1/3
The
though.
numbers was way.
Yeah, like that's
Different
alarming.
when we
And then
was
I'm like,
coming
what y'all doing? And then they learn from
Yeah.
We
You
had apps
different
and stuff
apps.
like that.
Yeah, we ain't have shit.
Yeah.
We had a green screen.
Yeah.
We didn't even have
for
color.
sure.
And it's like we grew up with the apps. You know what I'm saying? They got all the access right now. It's like, all right, man, I'm on TikTok, Instagram. You can find me on Twitch. You can find me on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like you got all these channels. You only 12. Like what's going on?
For sure.
The baby got 50,000 followers.
Yeah, I remember being in middle school when Facebook came out. I was like, ooh. Like,
That's what I'm saying.
We
I
was
remember.
Black Planet. We was on Black Planet, man. Shout out to Black Planet,
Black
man.
Planet,
That was the
MySpace.
greatest. That was the greatest social media site ever. Cause
No, it was MySpace.
you just couldn't load up the
Kevin
shit.
Durant's MySpace profile is legendary. Shout out to
No, it was Black Planet, mo.
No.
Cause it took you had AOL dial up. That shit used to be like, and then your mother be on the phone. You on the computer? Ooh, get the fuck off the
Has it
computer.
made it the best? Sounds like the worst.
No, it just took forever for somebody page to load up because you had all the fucking layouts and shit in the background. But
You
yeah,
had that on MySpace.
Yeah, MySpace was
but
cool.
that's after
MySpace
Black
was
Planet.
cool.
It got the blueprint from there. But that's a story from that.
But I
place.
think that MySpace was cool though, because I think now what we see with that,
Older
right?
than me.
I feel like
Older than me.
MySpace was cool. I feel like all the
Oh,
joints was
shit.
dope.
You ain't older than me?
No.
Cap.
Okay. Why you look like that?
Put
Anyway.
this hat on. Cap. Put this hat on because you was capping.
No, you was capping.
Nah, MySpace cool because if you really think about MySpace now and how it's evolved, it's really coding.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So like I think that these apps were really teaching a lot of people different things.
Yeah, we
And
didn't
now people
appreciate
wanna do
Tom
that.
the way we should have. Shout out to Tom from MySpace, man. We didn't appreciate
At Tom, holler at me, man.
For real. Tom, you got some new ideas? Come talk to us. man.
Yeah.
Come
you want
get
that
involved in the
podcast?
community. That's what we
Yes,
talking
sir.
about, ain't it? Come get involved in the community, Tom. We could use your help.
Yes, sir.
For sure.
But listen, we're going to wrap this show up for today. We appreciate you coming through, Jay. Let us know about what you got going on, the community projects you're working on. You can rattle them off as you see fit. We want to know. We're going to make sure we post the flyers and the links for you guys on YouTube. So make sure you guys support Jay, support the programs. But tell us what you got coming up.
So we got the Teen Leadership Program. It is actually starting today, July 20th. Today, at Glenarden Library. If you have a middle schooler or a high schooler and you want them to learn about setting a vision, effectively communicating, public speaking, money management, job readiness, panels, photography, anything creative, all things creative. We have that as well. They can get community service hours and they'll also get a certificate as well. We got our back to school drive August the 17th at Glenarden Library. Shout outs to Dare to Be Different. Shout outs to DMV Daily. Shout outs to Solid Clothing and shout outs to Project Black, the community partners, our 4th annual back to school drive. Our goal is 500 book bags and supplies for the community. If you want to donate, you can Cash App, Grind Hard, Dream Big, or like I said, pull up at the library with those donations as well. We'll have everything ready for you guys. We're trying to get these kids ready for school, getting geared back towards that and empowering our youth through positive words and positive actions. That's what we're about. And if you need workshops or motivational speaker, look no further. I'm the guy. Tap in, we can lock in and get these kids right for sure.
For sure. And I'm telling you, we're gonna do this right now. You got it on tape for the You Weren't There podcast. We're gonna donate 10 full backpacks to the drive.
I appreciate
We're
that.
gonna buy 10 backpacks. We're gonna fill them up with school supplies. We're gonna make sure we get that to the guys. So make sure you follow suit, man. We want to support each other. We can't talk this talk and not walk this walk.
I
So just
appreciate
make sure y'all supporting. Again, we're gonna put the flyers on the YouTube. Make sure you follow Jay at
JAYFLOW301MD.
follow him on Instagram. You can also see everything that he's doing as far as community advocacy there. Mel, give me your info.
You already know it's at your Melly Baby. Mel B Jr. on Facebook. Gang, what's up?
Even though he don't do shit. And of course you can follow me
Yeah.
at Mia Was Here 5_. Make sure you follow the podcast on TikTok and as well as Instagram at You Weren't There Podcast. At You Weren't There Podcast. We love you guys. Make sure you love yourselves and each other. We appreciate y'all.
Rest in peace, Juan.
Love.